Whether it's at work, at home, or scrolling social media, so many of us are quietly asking, is this okay? Leadership expert and best-selling author Dr. Cindy McGovern joins us today to share how to go after what we want without asking others for permission. Good morning, Dr. Cindy. How are you? Thank you for joining
I,
us.
I'm so good, and thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Now, you say the real issue isn't confidence, it's permission. What do you mean by that?
So, confidence is something that I believe that we build. It's like a muscle. And so, you've got to have permission to be able to start flexing that muscle. And permission, I believe, comes from within. It is something we grant ourselves, not external.
Now, what are some of those common imaginary rules people are following at work and at home without even realizing it?
These are things we carry with us from childhood. I think that we are taught things. Permission is truly granted when we're younger because we have rules that we have to follow to keep us safe and help us to become functional adults in society. But we start to carry those with us as we grow into adults, and we kind of put these boundaries on ourselves. I call them the invisible velvet rope that we carry, but it no longer serves us. So things like don't speak up. Uh, girls don't do that, boys don't do that. Things that we learn that no longer really serve us later. But if we think about it like that, girls would never have gone into the workplace, boys would never have shown emotion. There are things that change. We evolve as humans, as society. We would never have broken barriers, we would have never created opportunities. And so we're not bringing our superpowers to the table if we continue to abide by those rules. And so I think we're all stronger. Society is stronger. Our cultures are stronger. If we all kind of rip off that velvet rope, step forward, and let's break a few rules together.
Hey, there you go. I like that. Now, you talk about internal backup singers. What are they and how do they feel self-doubt?
We've all got those little committees in our minds, I think. I've got some loud singers back there that sometimes fuel that self-doubt louder than others on certain days. And I do believe that we can lean on those in times that sometimes they will keep us safe. They'll say, "Oh, don't go down that alley," or spidey senses come up. But they also create imposter syndrome for us. They also will hold us back and say, you shouldn't put in for that raise. You shouldn't put in for that promotion. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And those are not self-serving. And then they also can be cheerleaders, right? So you get this good and bad, but I call them the backup singers because they should be backup. They should be in the background. Let's get them singing in harmony so that you can step into the spotlight in your own life. But I've got voices back there, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, all sorts of folks that they can be loud on some days. And I think I have to decide some days, some of them don't get a solo.
I know that feeling. So, doctor, what's the difference between confidence and self-trust, and why does that distinction matter?
Ooh, oh, so confidence, like I had mentioned earlier, is that muscle that we build. But self-trust is really about you trusting your own voice versus anything else. That confidence comes from repetition, from testing that trust over time. But that self trust is knowing that your voice is stronger over all of the others. And that is when you sort of complete your own permission mission, is when you know that your voice is stronger than those backup singers. And you know that is the one that you need to listen to. But you got to clean out the emotional closet to be able to to hear that one sometimes. Because I don't know about you, but Granny's voice can get really loud.
It's usually my mama's voice. I can hear her voice all the time. So, for viewers headed
Exactly.
into a busy day, what's one simple permission practice they can use before a tough conversation or big decision?
Ooh, that's a great question. I find that we will talk ourselves in or out of things a lot of times when we solicit external advice so often, and we'll talk it through with a friend or a colleague, but you know the answer and you knew it from the beginning. We just seem to think that we need to get others' opinions. Whatever your initial instinct was, most of the time that was right. So why are you looking for someone else's opinion to influence yours when you knew the answer all along? Give yourself permission to trust yourself, because that voice inside of you is actually the wisdom of all of those backup singers together. That voice knows, that intuition knows. And we've all been there where you didn't listen to that voice and then you kicked yourself later. You went, oh, but I knew better. That voice knows, that intuition knows. Trust it. That's the advice I'd give you. When you got that big decision, you got to have that conversation. Listen to whatever that was first when you woke up that morning. That voice absolutely will guide you.
Wow. This week with leadership expert and best-selling author, Dr. Cindy McGovern. She's talking about real confidence. And we also know that she's got a new book out called The Permission Mission. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was absolutely a pleasure.
Thank you.